Hello, I'm Mithril and welcome to episode 12 of my Minecraft Survival Let's Play series. Hope you enjoyed the previous episode where we had a look at these pumpkin farms. So they've been ticking over quietly and we've got sort of a few stacks of pumpkins starting to build up, which is fantastic. So the plan for this episode was to work on that spider spawner that we found underneath, I think it was this farm here. Because that will be really helpful for getting spider's eyes and also just as a source of XP so we can continue working on getting enchantments from that enchanting table. But before we start, I've done a little bit of work on this path and more importantly I've took a little bit of quiet time to work on the roof of this storage cave and it turned out really well. I'm pretty happy with that. So I kind of cut it back to the stone. I'm just trying to work these natural shapes in. Use some cobblestone, andesite and mossy cobblestone walls there as stalactites, and occasionally hung these lanterns from some iron bars and added some leaf blocks in just to sort of break up the grey. And yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out. So this actually is starting to feel like a more finished build. The water elevators, you can really sort of see them heading all the way up now, which is great. And I also sort of put a bit of a finish on this exit here, although we still need to work on the tunnels. But yeah, this is looking good. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So let's head on down underneath this pumpkin farm and have a look at what we're dealing with. So if you remember back to last episode, I was kind of cooking up the redstone underneath that second farm. Can I come through here? I think I can, yeah. So down under here, and I think I had a couple of people ask on Instagram why I wasn't using observers. The answer was because I'm using this hopper clock, and the nice thing about that is that if I have enough pumpkins or enough sugarcane, I can just sort of override the signal and just turn the whole farm off so it's not contributing to lag. I found over time on servers, like I tend to build a lot of farms and they kind of build up and then, yeah, the server just gets laggy. So I really like having farms that I can turn off, which is why I didn't go with sort of like an automatic observer-based system. So here we are at this spider spawner that we found. So the plan is to build a spider farm. I've done a little bit of looking around at the different ways of doing this, and I found one or two designs. I might link to the video in the description down below if you're interested in seeing my inspiration. I'm going to modify it a little bit. One of the big issues that I've had with these spiders in the other hostile mob farm that we built a couple of episodes ago is that the spiders just love climbing up walls. So I'm very keen to create a design that has water sort of running down all of the walls, so the spiders just don't have anywhere that they can climb up. So that's the plan. So I think I'm going to go and gather some supplies as always, and we'll try and start. I think we'll work on this chamber first. I'm also keen to again be able to turn this farm on and off, so I might also include some redstone lamps to sort of be able to control putting light into this area, so this when we don't need to use the spawner, it's not constantly generating entities that are lagging the server up. So yeah, I'll go gather some things and then we'll get started. So I've been busy and have collected a bunch of stuff. We might start off with these redstone lamps, some redstone dust, maybe some repeaters, and some blocks. Just to, yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to actually sort of put this together, but we'll just grab some things and we'll see how we go. Yeah. And I've also sort of made a little alternate path down here and cleared a little bit around the spider spawner. So my plan is to get the lighting in place. So as I mentioned, I really want to have the ability to sort of activate and deactivate the spawner by being able to turn some lighting on and off. And the way I'm going to do that is by having a redstone lamp on top of the spawner, like so, and that will light this immediate area around the spawner. And the spiders spawn sort of in 3 layers. The sort of layer that we're standing on here, the layer of the spawner itself, and the layer this redstone lamp is on. So it's important that that light sort of extend out horizontally. So it's, it goes out, I want to say it's like a 9.4 block around it or something like that. So basically more or less 4 blocks each side, maybe a little bit more. And so to make sure there's full light coverage around, I'm going to also put lights in the walls here, in these gaps that you can see. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, let's now make an alternate path through here and start wiring them all together. And I'm going to use that polished granite that I was using previously. Hopefully I have enough, we'll see. We might just fill in the rest of it with cobble. So then we can put some redstone dust on top of this, like so. And if I just grab a lever real quick, I can kind of get a feel for how this is going to work. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. And hopefully we can use repeaters as it comes around the corners to just make sure it reaches. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put all of these granite blocks in and run that redstone signal around. Yeah, and so I'll do that, and then we'll talk about getting that light in the middle wired in as well. Okay, so that now goes all the way around. So I haven't yet put the repeaters in because I'm not entirely sure exactly where they need to be yet, but I think the time has come to look at this central lamp here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of redstone dust on top there, and then go grab some stair blocks because I think that will look really good here. Yeah, let's go polish andesite, and let's just drop down real quick. Now how's this going to work? Yeah, it's going to be tricky, isn't it? Okay, let me put a little bit of scaffolding in. Try again. There we go, let's remove that. Put in a temporary block for now. That'll let us actually put these stair blocks in. That's good. Now, this is going to be eating up a little bit of efficiency here, because if a spider's trying to spawn just here, it's not going to be able to. Yeah, my farms are not 100% efficient. They're close enough. I'm not too worried if I'm losing like 5% of the spider spawns or something like that. I really don't mind that much. I'd rather have something that looks cool. It's just a priority. Yeah, different priorities, I guess. But yeah, so this is looking good. Now, in terms of the ceiling, I think at this point we could put the ceiling in, because the spawning is only going to be happening up to this level, so we could put the ceiling in just there. But I'm going to go one higher, just because I'd like to have a block above these lights before I have the water sort of coming in. So the water will be coming up there, which means our ceiling will be sort of that block up there. So let's put some more solid blocks in around here, just to kind of finish that up, something like that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then I'm going to go grab some of that spruce stair that I had in this chest up here, just to kind of dress it a little bit. Once again, let's just, you know, who needs efficiency anyway? And like so. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So now my plan is to have the spiders sort of spawning and coming out through a passageway here, down here somewhere. So I think I'm going to run the redstone up over the top and connect it up to these two coming up here, and then have a switch somewhere over there in the chamber where we actually kill the spiders. So I just need to figure out a way to get up there and connect that up. Alright, so things are getting a little complicated. So we're just coming up over the top here to run this redstone in. And I know that these blocks here are going to be where I'm going to have a water source, because if I put the water source sort of direct out on the wall there, it's going to spill into the room too far. So I want it sitting sort of in this gap one block back, which means I need to have sort of blocks here to be at the back of the water. In particular, right there is going to need to be a block. So I'm going to have to take this out and around just a little bit to avoid that being a problem, like this. And then I'll do the same on the other side there. So now this should now go up and over the water, and I might just use an andesite block here, and I probably need to use an andesite block here as well, because they're going to be visible from out there. So we'll run this up here, and then up over the top, and then along and out to that central lamp. So I should probably, yeah, let's run an andesite all the way here. Am I doing that right? No, I'm not. I think it needs to be on higher. Yeah, because I don't need to come up here. That's good. Okay, nearly there. Now here is where it starts to come down those andesite blocks until we get into that sort of, this is that central area that's directly above the spawner. There's that temporary dirt block I put in earlier, so we'll move that. We'll put our dust back on that lamp, and we'll actually put some light up in here. This light won't go through to the actual spawner itself, but it's just important to make sure nothing's spawning in here. And then we can run this redstone in. And now, hopefully, if we come one more back for now, like so, we can get a switch. Or in fact, let's go one more, because the switch will eventually get moved further back. But I'd like to make sure that our current is coming in as it would be. So let's turn that on. Yeah, so from here we have a full current, and we know that that's going to make it all the way. Why is that not going down? That is very interesting. Okay. Well, let's work around that. Let's take that out. Let's put a block in here and a redstone torch like that. Lighting it up. And then when it's powered, it's off. So it's now an inverse circuit, I guess. And likewise here, let's put a block in here. And do the same with some redstone torches. We'll need one for each side. Like so. That's on, and then that is now off to match what's happening there. So now if this is off, then the lamps are on. And so now I can come along here and just see how far this signal actually reaches. So I'll amplify it just before we hit this up and down portion where we won't be able to do that, and then I will do the same again here, so it should make it all the way around, and then we'll do a mirror image the other way. So if we come back down here, We can see now we have all the lamps on this side lit up, including the middle one. And when I mirror that, these ones will light up as well. And we have lighting that we can turn on and off, which is fantastic. So I'll go ahead and finish this off a little bit, and then I think we can start doing. I think we'll decorate the top half of this chamber first, and then while I can stand on the stone here, and then we'll do the bottom half after that. So I've been clearing away the blocks from the ceiling and the top of the walls, ready to start doing that, make it look a little better. And I had the sudden thought that maybe I should also put some pistons in for the water, so that way I can also turn the water stream on and off. It's probably not necessary, but I think it'd be a fun thing to do. So that shouldn't be too hard. I just need to have a block that sort of is lowered to block off the water stream. The only place that gets a little bit tricky is here, so I'm going to have to sort of rework this region so that it sort of goes up and over the pistons and then down into that light in the middle. So I'm going to, I think, build out the place where the water's going to go, and go get a bunch of sticky pistons and sort of get them up into position, and maybe do some wiring as well up there. So yeah, let's see how this progresses. So we now have all of our pistons in place, and I'm going to use smooth stone just to go over the top. So when these pistons activate, they'll push the smooth stone down over the gap here, so the water won't be able to run out and down the walls anymore. So after a bit of trial and error, I'm pretty happy with how the roof's coming together. So I've kind of gone with the andesite in behind the water streams, the smooth stone for where the pistons are going to lower those blocks, and then I decided to sort of mirror the other side to come back to andesite, and then I just kind of put in some cobblestone with a bit of moss in between, just to kind of finish it off before it comes down to this sort of light fitting in the middle. Yeah, so the next step, I think, let's see, maybe we should wire those pistons up, because it would be good to kind of get that done before I kind of lock myself out of this room by finishing off the walls. So let's have a go at that. So the pistons are wired up, and this is what it looks like extended, which I'm pretty happy with, because it kind of keeps that sort of andesite, smooth stone, andesite kind of pattern happening. Yeah, looks good. And if we just come up, I'll show you how I managed to get this all working. So we now have sort of, oh, can I not come this way? Apparently not. There we go. Oh, that broke at just the right time, didn't it? So yeah, this is the piston line. So this turns all those pistons on and off. So I've got a repeater here just before it hits this first row, and that goes sort of up to both corners. To get around the corners, I'm just sort of taking a step back and then putting a repeater so the signal sort of continues along, and then doing that again here. So this piston is getting power from either this one or this one, and all the other ones are getting sort of power from the blocks next to them, which is great. And to get the the actual lighting circuit, you can see that's off this switch here, and basically so that's still that inversion, except I've now got one torch that is running all of the lights going in both directions, and then that continues up and over and then down to that lamp down there. Yeah, so we've got those two lines. I think I'm going to keep them separate, because I suspect I'll want to turn the lights on and then give the water streams a little while to flush out any remaining spiders before I then turn the water streams off. So I'll just keep them as separate levers rather than try and sort of come up with any fancy timing circuits for now. So obviously these aren't the final levers. I'll build a room and we'll continue that these circuits in, but I think in terms of functionality, it's working really well. So that means it's time to continue with the walls. So I'm going to excavate this out. I'm a little gun shy of removing the torches, because if I accidentally knock a bit of redstone dust somewhere and all these torches turn off, it's going to get very crowded in here very quickly. So I might leave them in for just a little bit longer. I might even sort of replace them with sort of pumpkins or something, so I can just pull them out right at the last minute. Yeah, I don't want any sort of spider infestations unexpectedly, so yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the walls. I kind of feel like some stone brick might be good, but I want to kind of put something around the lights just to make them stand out. I think if I went one each side of the lights, it's going to create sort of a bit too much of a checkerboard pattern, so I might do something like have the andesite top and bottom, and then sort of either stone brick, or maybe, yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll play around with it a little bit. Okay, so this is progressing pretty well. I spent a lot of time working on this pattern here. I think this is what I ended up going with. I'm not 100% happy with it, because it's kind of a little bit offset. Like, these are against the andesite and these aren't quite there, but yeah, there's a lot of messing around, and this is as good as it gets, I think. So what we then have is this step down here, which is where the water will come down, and I'm going to use some gates to sort of stop that spilling over into this area here, except for these corners, which will then push the spiders towards this exit over here. And you can see I've sort of prepared sort of a step down where the water streams will then continue in this direction. I've also put some lighting in underneath, because it was getting a little bit dark, so I've run from here a line. It goes into a block underneath the light block, and then this redstone repeater pulls it out, sends it off into these two side blocks to light up these lamps, and into that block to light up that lamp, and then another repeater to pull the signal out and take it into these two lamps up here. So obviously we'll cover all that up, so it's just the floor. Yeah, it's coming along. So I think I need to extend this tunnel just a little bit, cover up these holes in the floor, and then we'll be ready to have a go at putting the water in. Okay, so I've put some dirt blocks in place just temporarily to allow me to place some of these spruce fence gates, which will hopefully block the water in the right places to get the right flow. Yeah, I'm not 100% confident what's going to happen over here, so I'm going to play around with it a little bit, but basically I want the water that's falling down to cover as much of this wall as possible, while still allowing the spiders to get pushed through along here. So I think we're doing the right things. We've got the water sort of spilling over the edge here, which is going to push the spiders towards the middle, and there should be just enough water from here to sort of the water to flow one off the edge here and then continue pushing the spiders along. Things get a little bit complicated around some of these edges here, so I'll just do my best to put these gates in the right place, and hopefully it all comes together. Yeah, so this is what I ended up going with. We'll see how it works. So the other important thing to do is to open up all the gates, which means that mobs will be able to move through them freely. So I've gone and done that for everything. Which brings us to putting the water in. So I'm going to go and turn off the lever that is pushing those blocks down, so we can get up and start putting water up in there. And I'll probably have to set up some scaffolding to sort of get up there and be able to do it. Alrighty, so we have some scaffolding, an infinite water supply, and I'm hoping scaffolding doesn't get knocked down by water, or this is going to be hilarious. But I've kind of blocked the corners up with the scaffolding. So yeah, let's find out whether this is going to work or not. Let's put one up there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I believe, like normally with water sources, you can kind of do the two apart and then fill in, but unfortunately, I think, yeah, because there's no extra blocks around here, it doesn't automatically fill in there. So we're going to actually have to place every single source block, but that's okay. There's not too many of them, so I'm just going to kind of work my way around, and we'll see how we go. Alrighty, so all of that water is now in place, so we can remove this infinite water supply and very carefully get rid of this. It's really important when you're doing work near a spider spawner, or any spawner for that matter, that you don't accidentally break it, because you can't get it back, so I'm going to be very careful. There we go. Okay, so that's good. So now hopefully if I come down here, we should be able to break these scaffolds. And when I break these ones over here, we should get water flowing down into that chamber over there. Like so. Nice. Just collect the bit of scaffolding that's left lying around. But this is looking pretty good at this point. So the nice thing about this is that in theory, spiders spawning won't be able to climb up these walls. I did a little bit of testing in creative, and I found that if I sort of spawn them against the wall, they would sort of climb up there, but then they would just drown. Yeah, but the ones that were actually sort of spawning didn't. They just kind of dropped down and got pushed along into this area over here. Yeah, so I think this is looking pretty good at this point. So I wouldn't mind this being a covered block, and I'm just wondering how to go about doing that. And I wonder if if I cover that, nothing changes. What if we go like this and that? Oh, some scaffolding there as well. Just that. Ah, perfect. Look at that. Yeah, that's looking great. Okay. So next we'll need to do this chamber where we can kill the spiders. So it's worth mentioning, I'm basing elements of my design, in particularly like the way that this pushes along and is going to collect the spiders up here, on a video tutorial I found by Waffle Stick. So I'll put that down in the description, so definitely go in and check that out. It's a pretty good tutorial that's easy to follow as well, so if you're looking to build something like this, it doesn't have the water walls or the lighting, but if you're just looking to build a basic normal spider spawner XP farm, then it's a really good tutorial, so you should check it out. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to head up and turn all that water off, and then we'll work on this area here. Okay, so I've kind of finished fleshing out this chamber here, where we're going to be killing the spiders, and I've also hooked up the redstone to these switches here. So when I'm making switches for farms, I kind of like it, so if I'm using the farm, all the lamps are on. So for this farm to be active, we want to have, I guess, darkness on. So currently you'll see the switch is off and it's all lit up, so nothing can spawn. And when we activate that, you can see all the lamps go out. Now I've still got those sort of pumpkins there just until we're all finished. I'll take them out last thing. But you can see that's now working. And just to show you how that's wired up, so the switch powers the redstone lamp, and then we've got this line of redstone. It splits here. There's actually and I might just remove a block so I can show you. It goes down there and also across here. So if we just head down, this comes along, reverses and goes down into the underfloor lights, which we saw previously that I've now covered up. And then the one that goes up here goes into this torch tower, and we take that all the way up here, and it just comes along and connects into the circuit that we had previously. So this is where those two levers were previously, and then the other line just comes up and hooks into the pistons. Again, like we saw previously, I had to reverse it. So once again, I wanted it so that when the light was on, the pistons were retracted so the water was flowing, which is how we want the farm to be when we're using it. So we can demonstrate that as well. If we just come out here, so there's no water currently, and then when we activate the water streams, you can see all the water comes down and starts flowing this way, which is awesome. No, what's happened? Why do I not have one there? Well, that is just bizarre. Maybe I need to remove all those fences. Let me just play around with this for a bit. Turn that off. This will start to come down like that. Perfect. So you can see why I really like putting in that extra bit of redstone, because you can just sort of turn things on and turn things off and play around with stuff, which is really useful when you're doing this kind of work. So I'm going to get my axe out. Just come over here, and I'm going to try removing all of these just to see what will happen here. Good. Let's go try that again, and hopefully it will now work. Yeah, the joys of designing things on the fly, but I think that's kind of half the fun of messing around with this stuff. Oh, that looks promising. Yes, that's exactly what we wanted. Yeah, that looks really good. Cool. So now that the redstone is all hooked up, it just leaves this final chamber to do. There will be a little bit of water, as you'll see, sort of in here, and I'm not going to put pistons in for that, because it's going to be a little bit tricky to make it work, and the whole point of being able to turn the water off is more sort of coming in for access if we needed to, and the water will be above this little access door here, which I've sort of connected through to the cave system, where we can sort of get in behind all the redstone, but also up to the this room here. So I'll fill this in. In fact, I can do that now that I think about it. Do I have enough blocks? I think I do. 1, 2, yeah, and then one like this. But we can work our way around through the caves and up over through the redstone to get in behind there if we need to, which is good. And yeah, that's looking pretty awesome. Yeah. So I've got a few more things left to collect just to finish off this area here, and then we are done. So yeah, stay tuned. Alrighty, so I've just put a steel door in here that we can sort of open and close with a button. And what I'm going to do is put some soul stand just here, so the water stream will push the spiders over the soul stand, and they'll kind of water elevator up here so we can kill them. And what I'll do next is grab some hoppers and put that going into the back of the chest, and then the other two off to the side, sort of funneling into that hopper. So that's where any drops will collect and be pushed into the chest. And then we'll need some spruce fence gates just to shape this water stream. And the key here is you have to press shift to stop, to place and not open the fence. The orientation of these doesn't really matter. It's mostly just aesthetics more than anything else. Let's try it like that. It's looking pretty good. And then I think I need some here. Yeah, like that. Then we need to open them all up, which can be a little tricky. Perfect. And now we're ready for some water. So I've prepared a infinite water source here. And so the key, I think I'll start here, like so, is to actually have source blocks. So you'll know if it's a source block if you're getting those bubbles coming up through them. And as I mentioned, if you want to see the tutorial for this, definitely check out the video in the description. How are we doing? That's 3, and then we need that again. It's kind of tricky because you see this fence, the gate is highlighted, so I'm kind of having to go through the gate to make sure I'm on the other side of it to place these down. Up here. So that's looking really good. So then we just come up here and oh yeah, water streams will help. Just place in there, and same again in there, and finally, and I hope this will be, yeah, I'll be able to get down from here. Whoops, too high. Yeah, it's better. So you see that's sort of pushing everything over to these hoppers, which is great. So that's everything done down there. I better remove that water stream. Although I'll clean it up later. I can clean that up when I get rid of those pumpkins. So next we need to put down some trapdoors over the top of the hoppers, like so, and get some iron trapdoors. I'm going with iron because they won't accidentally sort of flip up and let spiders through. I think would be a good idea. And these need to go here, here, here. I can get rid of these torches, and there, there, and there. Which is looking good. So the last thing to do is to put a wall across there. And I might go with a stone wall maybe, or do you reckon spruce would look better? I think given we've already got spruce there, I think we might go with stone. You can also go with glass. I think that looks alright. And then we also need something to stop us from standing too close here. In the tutorial I was following, it was glass. I'm not sure. How to go about doing this is an interesting question. Can I open it? I can. Can I step through there? Oh, well, that's no good. I guess we could do glass. My only problem with glass is that it will not really finish. Options. Oh, this is going to hurt. One last piece of glass. What to do? What happens if we just go the spruce fence all the way across? Yeah, let me know in the comments if you've got a better idea for this. I feel like the glass won't kind of tie in with the rest of it. Or maybe it will. But yeah, let me know what you think. The issue is you need to you have to have holes for the XP to come through. So we can play around with this and try and refine it. But for now, this is looking pretty good. So now all that I need to do is go back down into the maintenance tunnel and remove those pumpkins. So hopefully we've got the lights are on, which is great. We can just refill our buckets, which is always a good idea. And just use a block to get rid of that last bit of water. And then this. So we're looking pretty good. Now this will be a moment of truth. Again, we have to be careful not to destroy the spider spawner. But when I remove these pumpkins, the only light will be from these lights around the edge. So if we suddenly get spiders spawning before I turn the light off, then I'll know my lighting isn't fully lighting up the area. So I'm hoping when I get rid of this last pumpkin, I don't suddenly have a spider spawning. But time will tell. It is definitely getting a little bit darker in here. But I think we're good. Yeah, cool. That is great news. Because it's less of me screaming and running and more of me feeling like it all worked out. So that's great. So I think at this point it's all ready. Let's head on up. That's looking good. And so let's start by activating the darkness, which should see, yep, a bunch of, I can definitely see some spiders in there, which is great. And then I will activate the water streams. Hello, we've got our first customer. So they're just naturally finding their way up here, and they're growing onto me, which is great. And hopefully we should see another couple come up. Yep, there's a third. Yeah, that is great. And so in theory there should be 4 spawning at a time. And so if we're not getting 4 spawning, it's probably because one of them tried to spawn in one of those blocks that we had. So yeah, that's good. And you can see I can kind of reach them, hopefully. Yep. Oh, there's another one. And the XP can definitely make it through. And we're just having a go at hitting these. Yeah, obviously a sweeping edge enchantment would be helpful as well. Yeah, I'm just not quite... See, I'm just not quite hitting there. So maybe we can change this up a little bit. One thing I did try... We just open this right up. Obviously here, if you get too close, I believe they can attack you. Or maybe not. I wonder if that wall means that the wall comes down lower than the... No, it shouldn't. I don't know. Anyway, let's just do this. Yeah, see, I just got hit. So we do need something. Another thing I tried was that. So let's just see how this goes. So this is much easier to hit the wall. Yeah, I think I like that. I didn't seem to be getting hit. So I'm going to leave it like that. Obviously if I'm standing here it's too close and I might get hit, but just here should in theory be okay. But I got a bunch of XP from that, and we're starting to get those spider's eyes, which is fantastic. So this is all working, and the nice thing is that I can leave those water streams on. I can deactivate the darkness, so it should now be lit up. If I just give it a minute to make sure there's no more spiders in the system. That's looking pretty good. I can then deactivate the water streams. And then we can head on down and still have access. Whoop, no, we have one left. Hello. I'm pretty confident we can... Oh, I see how it is. Oh, you can stay up there. Yeah, so we can come in and if we need to. So, that is functional, which is great. But we don't want to, definitely don't walk in there, because we'll kind of get pulled up into that little chamber. So this is good. We can turn it off, so when it's off there's no spiders spawning, so it's not putting lag on the system, and we are pretty much done. Now, the only thing I haven't done here is where I've exiting. So you can see, firstly we have some sort of raid happening over there, which is less than ideal. I'm not sure if there's a way to actually stop those from spawning, so if you do know how to stop these illagers sort of coming and hanging out, please let me know. And I also need to sort of turn this into an actual structure. I'm thinking maybe having an entrance from the path here into some sort of little building where you've got the water elevators, but that is going to have to wait for another time. And other than that, we are pretty much done. So, I'll just come back down here for one last look. There we go. So, if you like this episode, please leave a like. And if you're keen to catch more of these episodes as they come out, please subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified. I've had a couple of requests to put some tutorials together, so if you're interested in me doing a tutorial on this build to sort of show you how to do those water walls, sort of pistons, and the lighting in sort of more step-by-step creative mode tutorial, then let me know in the comments. But otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.